What's going on, Scott Squad? We are back in the building and we are talking Candy and the Gang, episode 8, Exes Who Lunch. Okay. And what we really need to dive into is whether or not Safari actually knows what the definition of a trick is. Okay. So we're gonna dive into that. Trust and believe, we're gonna dive into it because last night, Candy and Todd, they ain't really like it too much when Safari had then called Patrick a trick. Okay, or said she thought he was a trick, and so that was why she was not too keen to talk to him. But you still see she got up in the in that good apartment anyway, right? Okay. Listen, where are you watching from? Let us know in the chatterization. I feel like we've been kind of pushing through these lives, and I ain't even really got a chance to see who watching these days. I see Cincinnati's in the building. I said Cincinnati, Ohio. The Virgin Islands, New York, Alabama's in the building. Who else is in here? Orlando, I see you. DC's in the building. Louisville. Come on, y'all. Hey. Warner Robins, Georgia, baby. Yes. ATL, baby. Louisville, Charlotte, Alabama. I see you. Duncanville, Texas. Upper Marlboro, Baton Rouge, Columbus, Georgia, Atlanta, Chicago, Huntsville, baby. Michigan, Belleville, Illinois, Dallas, Guyana, the DMV. Okay, be more into his night. I see y'all. Come on, UK. A lot of Birmingham in the building. Southern California. I see y'all. I see y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in, y'all. Listen, Candy and the Gang, episode 8. We are winding down to the finale, which of course will be on May the 8th. Okay. So we'll at least get what, 2 episodes with Atlanta as the lead in, because Atlanta does start this coming Sunday. So get excited about that. They've even released some new clips from the show about how the show first starts off. So head on over to bravotv.com and get that info, okay? I'm super excited about that. But we got to talk about Candy and the Gang today, okay? Oh, look like we got a new member in the building. Hey, Miss Susu21 just became a member. You guys can also join the Sky Squad family by clicking the link in the description below this video. If you're watching on your phone, you might have to refresh that little X button that's right below the video, and you guys can see that join button in the description. Let's get into the episode, okay? On a scale of 10, what y'all rating this episode? And for those of you who are new here, we rate the episode at the beginning, right at the top. We're going to do it's going to be between 10 and 1. 1 or 10. 10 being the highest, and then 1 being the lowest, okay? So go ahead and drop your ratings in the chatterization down below so we can see what you guys think. Now, the ratings is looking right high. Okay? I'm gonna give it a Jaquan Patton Ingram. Thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate you, boo. 8, 10, 8.5, 8, 7.5, 9 because of Leslie. 9, the force say you a hoe. I'm gonna give this episode a solid 9. There were some funny moments. There's enough members of this cast that have enough going on that you really do have a fun show with likable cast members. And whereas, Portia's show, I felt like focused a bit more on scandal, I feel like this show focuses a bit more on family dynamics, interpersonal relationships, and more of the fun side and shenanigans more than anything else. The only thing I don't like about this show is that it doesn't always showcase the restaurant in the best light because of the shenanigans of the employees. See, for me, I feel like show us these interpersonal relationships amongst the employees. Don't show me that the host stand is dirty, okay? I don't want to see that. All right? Just a production note for season 2. Now, maybe those things emphasize how much work needs to be done in the restaurants, but I don't want to know that. Okay. I don't want to know that when I walk into the host stand, it may or may not be clean. I may or may not should put my hands on it. Okay. I don't want to know that type of stuff. And that's one of the things that we saw in last night's episode was the people was complaining. Chandrika, I think it was Shardo, and I think it might have been Brian. They were complaining that the host stand was dirty and who was going to clean it. But, for me, I don't want to know those details. Give me everything else because everything else is highly entertaining. Okay. Shout out Miss Quatia says, shout out to Juan Baby. Oh, June Baby. He was stepping up for Drika. We're gonna talk about that. Let's get into it. Overall, again, this is a fun show, and it's definitely something that's needed in the industry because we haven't had really many shows like this. And again, it harkens back to, the fun times of like Sweetie Pies and stuff like that when like OWN first started. Listen, the shows that are on OWN now are top notch. The quality is amazing, but this show is just so family friendly. Anyway, let's get into it. At the start of the episode, it looks like Philip and Brian are getting along well now. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I feel like we're getting less and less of Philip as the episodes go along. And I don't know if that was intentional or maybe if his story arc was just more in towards the beginning of the season with him not getting along with everybody. But we don't seem to get a lot of Philip in these latter episodes. Have y'all noticed that? Or is it just me? Anyway, Aunt Bertha, Mama Joyce, want to look online. Okay, well, Aunt Nora and Mama Joyce want to look online to find Aunt Bertha a date. But Aunt Bertha only gonna do it if Mama Joyce do it so they can go on a double date. And so they start taking their photos and stuff like that, their little Tinder photos and things like that. And when Aunt Bertha see her photo, Aunt Bertha's like, that's money right there. That's money. Who is this woman? Okay. Who is she? Because I could do a whole OLG show with just the old lady gang, to be quite honest with you. It would be like the Golden Girls on steroids. I'm telling you, that's a show right there. That is a show right there. Watching them maneuver throughout the dating life and their relationships with each other, y'all can't tell me that wouldn't be some Golden Girls type of magic right there. Autumn Fall says, I just watched Speak on It and Patrick was on it. He's so funny, smart, and very well accomplished. I wish they showed his serious side more. You know what the funny thing about it is, though? Patrick, despite whether or not he comes across as the most intelligent on the show, Patrick is likable, okay? He has a very likable quality. And to me, I can't see why any young woman would not want to, date him or be around him. But I don't really know Wild Patrick from before, okay? So maybe that's why Safari thought he was the trick or the treat. I don't know. Apparently now he's the treat because she don't think he a trick no more. Autumn Fall says, plus he's fine. Okay, well, there you go. There you go. Kimmy Nicole says, Safari stopped the cap she wrote in the dating show. She wrote into the dating show they were creating to date Patrick. Whoa! Now that's some tea right there. Now I did not know this, but I got to put up the alleged banner, but I didn't know that, Kimmy Nicole. You just told me something new. Anybody else hear about this? I ain't heard about that. But I got to go check out that speak on it. I'll tell you that much. Um, because I want to know what he say. Chandrika and June are meeting about Dom, okay, or meeting with Dom. Now, we had not gotten much of June before. And I need to know in the chatterization whether or not you are a fan of June or not, okay? Because I can see what he is doing can be very divisive amongst our community, okay? As you're watching. So in the chat, tell me whether or not you here for June or not. And June is Chandrika's fiance, okay? Now, Quatia said, yep, Candy said don't speak on it, and she got the receipts. Boom. Oh, snap. Okay. Some of y'all are here for June. Okay. Some of you guys are not a fan of June. Okay. Let's get into it. Okay. So when they meet with Dom over burgers and such, Chandrika asks how everything went at the party. Dom relays that Safari said that Chandrika and June weren't on the guest list, so they couldn't come in. June says they weren't going there to be petty, but now Patrick wants to do all that with his little blow-up doll, talking about Safari. So June then tells Dom that she can't be doing that type of stuff no more. He says if we come as a unit, we leave as a unit. And the sisterhood between the two of y'all needs to be tighter. Okay? Now, for me, I'm going to tell you like this. In general, in the past, if I come with a group to a function, we usually leave as a group, as a function, or people break off. But I'm usually leaving with somebody I came with. Okay. And I told you guys the story about me getting into the club, and my drunk friend could not get into the club, and I kept on pushing it. But I was also slightly intoxicated, so that's typically not my MO, right? But my question to you guys is, do you think it was June's place to come in and have that conversation with Dom? Personally, I like his intentions, okay? I don't think I like that he said it to Dom, because to me, that should have come from Chandrika. Because what it looks like is June is fighting all of Chandrika's battles, because every time Chandrika has an opportunity to really tell people how she feels about the incident, in person, she act like it wasn't a big deal. But in her confessionals, she be like, yeah, I was left outside for 30 minutes. So which is it, Chandrika? And why are you afraid to have these real direct conversations with your friends? You can get mad at them and talk around superficial topics, but you can't have real conversations with your girlfriends and with your friends, because for real, the real issue is only between Dom and Chandrika. And if Chandrika feels a certain type of way, she should be able to pull her girlfriend aside and say exactly what it is that is going on. And it should not have to come from June. Now, again, I like June. I like him. I like somebody that, has his best. You could tell he has her best interest at heart. I just don't necessarily know that it was his place to come at Dom like that. Okay. Autumn Fall says, in the words of Nene, we happen to like June more than we like Junie. Oh, I get it. Autumn says, stay out of women business. And here's another thing. Well, it's difficult, because I'm not going to say stay out of women's business, because they're an ensemble cast. But I will say stay out of the friendship business, because later he's going to address Brian, Torin, and I cannot remember who else was there. We'll talk about it in a minute. But he not done checking the folks, okay? So is it just I don't know if I don't think it's just stay out of women's business. I think it could be stay out of the friendship business, but on the other hand, he's sticking up for his lady. So I don't I'm on the fence about it, right? Lynette McDuffie says singing this is how she fights. Oh, seeing how this is how she fights her battles. That's what it comes across like. She's sending him in to do the damage, but then just standing there looking as he has these conversations. So Dom says, well, this wasn't the club. Her bosses were there and whatnot. But see, to me, Dom's argument is faulty. Okay. Dom's argument for me is faulty because while this was not a club event, Dom herself, I think, or either Brandon himself, basically noted that this was not a work function. And if you were really that concerned about your bosses being there, y'all two wouldn't have been all kissed up and hugged up on each other like you was, basically making an inappropriate scene in front of your bosses and whatnot after they discovered that you guys were doing some hanky panky back in the storage room or the office. Okay. But I digress because I feel like, again, her argument is faulty right there. And again, it technically was not a work event. And then he tells her, I'm dead serious. I said, but here's the thing though. Dom is like, you're wrong for saying that. It was a weird situation. Now, if anything, if you're gonna have any defense in that instance, I would say to use that defense versus, oh, this was because my bosses were there. No, just simply say it was awkward. We were there because we were invited and we wanted to stay in support. But then I also understood that you guys were not invited, and I came outside to, you know, um, but she didn't go outside actually. So that makes it kind of actually even worse. Dom should have went outside. She definitely should have went outside and said something to her. I know some of you guys said she might have been on text message with Chandrika, but she should have went outside at that point because I think that was the right thing to do. Whether or not she chose to go back inside is a different story. So Chandrika feels like Torin didn't hold it down either. And June says he's going to check Torin too. And Dom says, you going to go around checking all of Drika's friends? And he basically says, yep, but I'm only doing it because I care. Okay. And so I state, are you team June or are you team stay out of the friendship business? Yeah, I mean, this is a lot of people's models. We come together, we leave together, right? At the very least, Brian and Shardo, in my opinion, are correct that Dom should have at least gone outside because you did come with her. It's only right for you to at least. Now I know you said you was gonna let her know what the situation is once you got on the inside, but once you saw Torin and Patrick and Safari going outside, then you and your man should have went outside too to make sure that that they had somebody on their side to just be there with them as the whole conversation went down. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I feel. All right, so back at OLG, again, this is where Drika, Brian, and Charlotte are complaining about the host stand being dirty. And again, these are the moments I don't like. Because I feel like they characters on the show, but they also work there. And again, these interpersonal relationships are enough drama that I don't need the drama of a dirty host stand to make me feel like second thoughts about going there. But anyway, that's on production and Todd and Candy to work out for next season. Okay. Um, Brian, we learned, is having a funeral for Pepe, his wig. Okay, because this wig has run its course. for at least about 2 years, it looked like. Todd goes in to check on Patrick and his thoughts on the housewarming. Patrick thought it was more people that was going to show up. And Todd is like, you boring, dog. Like, I'm used to you being real wild and stuff like that. And we get these flashbacks of, Patrick posting the thirst traps and stuff like that. And I think to myself, we was all wild at one point and stuff like that. We all posted a little thirst trap here and there and then and there once in a while. But, that doesn't mean you a trick, Safari. Anyway, all of a sudden, June rolls up and he's bringing a brand new Benz with a bow on it for Chandrika. Now, I like this type of carrying on right here. This is what I'm talking about. So if you want to butt into an argument every now and again, but you're going to bring me a Benz, I might be here for it too, Chandrika. I ain't going to even lie to you. You might. I mean, you're doing all right for yourself, okay? You're doing all right for yourself. Especially after y'all done only got engaged after being together for a month, okay? If the man, what does June do? Okay, that's what I want to know. And I know I should not be concerned about how people make their money, but I am concerned about how people make their money. I want to know because I want to know how to make more money too. Okay, so June, brother, what do you do? Tell me how you living, dog, because I want to be able to come home and see a Benz in the driveway, okay, with a bow on it. All right. Meanwhile, Patrick makes him pay the entire $10, okay? But June only got $9. And Patrick is like, well, I mean, if you don't even have the whole extra dollar, why are you spending money on a Benz? At first, I was unsure of why June was there with the car with the bow on it, okay? Miss Susu says Dom convinced Sean to go to, so at least she could do is go outside and check on her friend. What, you the type of friend that I have to keep my eyes on? Pretty much. How you making that bag, June? That's all I want to know. What you do? What you do, dog? So I can do it too. All right. So anyway, he's there to surprise her. He calls her and tells her to come on out to the parking lot or whatever. It's a line of people at the door, but so what? So what? She gets out there, gets excited, commences to honking the horn. Then all the employees come out, okay? And Todd is like, well, who's hosting? And somebody says Shardo, but Shardo's standing right there. So the people just got to scan the QR code and do it themselves. Host yourselves, people. Come on. Actually, the doors of the church are open. All are welcome. Find a seat where you can. Actually, go back to the kitchen if you want to and make your own food. That's how we're doing it now. I mean, how everybody leave at the same time? Who is running the restaurant? Meanwhile, next, June is on a mission, okay? He sits down Torrin, Shardo, and Brian about Chandrika and why nobody came to her defense. Now, Torrin says he wasn't aware that the guest list changed. But in my mind, I felt like Torrin knew that Chandrika was no longer invited as per that sit-down conversation that they had with him, Safari, and Patrick. But I cannot recall. So I'm not going to hold Torrin's feet to the fire because I can't remember the exact details of it. But I could have swore he knew. But if he said he didn't, we're going to rock with it. But Torrin also feels like June shouldn't have run up on them like that before Chandrika had a moment to have that conversation with them. Basically, feeling like, why your man coming up and approaching me about something that you got a problem with? And that's what I'm talking about. Now, I see y'all are saying that Torrin knew. Okay. So if Torrin knew, Torrin, you was being a little mess. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So at that point, if Chandrika wanted to confront Torrin, she could have. Okay. And I mean, Torrin, if when June came up to you and was asking you questions, if you told him that you didn't know the guest list changed, then that don't sound like you told that man the truth. Okay? So I don't know. But anyway, we get to the funeral for Brian's wig. Torrin, Shardo, and Drika arrive, and Brian arrives down the stairs in his all black and his veil. The wig's name was Leslie, and it was time for that wig to go. It was time. But this little ceremony didn't last that long. Chandrika got to go on a date with Patrick, Safari, Kandi, and Todd, so she got to go. And they buried the wig in the backyard. Bye, Leslie. But hello, Linda. The new wig is bright and blonde. We'll get to that later. So Brian asks why June approached them yesterday, and Chandrika says to them, "I feel like y'all did some shady-ish." Brian feels like her beef should be with Dom because they came together. And she claims that she don't care, but Torrin calls it. He was like, "Oh, you care because your man came to us." And Chandrika says, "Well, he cared." And Torrin lets her know that he feels some type of way about that because why you sending your man to approach me instead of you coming to me? Now, again, in person, she acting like she don't care, but in her confessional, she has an issue with Torrin because he pressured her into coming. And again, her issue is valid because Torrin, if you knew that the invitation list had changed, you invited her, and that was a messy setup situation, okay? If you knew about it. Then she says she was waiting outside for 30 minutes to find out what's the cue. That's what she was upset about. So you have two people, Chandrika, that you should be angry with. One is Torrin because he allegedly knew that the invitation list had changed. And then two, Dom, because if you're telling us that you were waiting outside for 30 minutes to find out what the cue was, then that's Dom's issue. Because Dom said that she was going to get inside and let you know what the situation was exactly, okay? Then Dom should have also been the one to come outside with Patrick and Safari. And if Torrin was going to go too, because Torrin should have been held accountable right then and there for telling her to come, even though he knew that the guest list had changed. Okay. But she boot scoots and boogies on out of there so she can get on this date. So Kandi and Todd arrive to the date first. Todd feels like Patrick and June are at a cool point in their relationship. But then June and Chandrika arrive next. Safari and Patrick arrive, and the awkwardness begins. Now, the placement to me of the seating is all wrong, but it was probably for the best, right? Because you had Kandi and Todd facing each other, you had June and Patrick facing each other, and then you had Chandrika and Safari facing each other. And that to me it just reeked of awkwardness because the two of them are the ones that have the issue with each other. Well, I think Safari has more of an issue with Drika. Drika has more of an issue with Patrick. And I think June is just kind of caught up in the middle and trying to protect his lady in some way, shape, or form, right? So Kandi formally introduces Safari and Drika to each other. Safari feels like, well, she's not a child and she doesn't get why she's even there. She feels like there's no beef between her and Chandrika. There's just an unspoken code. So June asks her, well, why didn't you want us to be there? Because remember, initially Patrick invited them both to the housewarming Ponderosa. So Safari says, I want to keep my space positive. And I said, my space, it's not your space. Your space is your office. Your space is your apartment. That ain't your space. And if you got a space in their space, the only space you got is that beanbag and that meditation station. Okay. That's the only space that you can claim in that spot. You might be able to claim the beams that the TV is hanging on by the chains in Patrick's bedroom. And you might even be able to claim Patrick's bed. But everywhere else is also Melvin's space as well. And so if Melvin too wants these people to come to the housewarming party, he has half the say in who comes and who does not. Patrick has half the say, and you have about 0.009% because that's the amount of space of things that you brought up in there. And the fact of the matter is, you shouldn't be claiming nobody's space up in there because you said you was going to furnish that place, and you even made him get rid of Torn from trying to decorate their place so they would have had some places for people to sit. Because of you, nobody in that apartment in that party had any place to sit. They barely had something to eat. Thank God for Brian and those egg rolls, and thank God for the tables that Torrent had swiped from wherever. I don't know if he got them from the old lady gang or wherever he got them from, or if he got them stacked up in a storehouse somewhere. Whatever the case may be, you cannot be claiming no space, Miss Safari. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay. So anyway, Chandrika's like, well, see, y'all done forgot Melvin stayed there. It ain't just Patrick's spot, okay? And if Melvin want to invite these people, he got the right to invite whomever he want to invite to, okay? Miss Miriam, all right? Miss Miriam. Anyway, Chandrika says, why do you feel that way about us? And Safari's like, because I don't know y'all. So June lets her know that, they coming from a peaceful place. And Kandi says, well, y'all got to be able to be around each other without all the negativity, especially because of the work environment as well. Kandi feels like the dinner is a success thus far. So then we learn that Safari is not her real name. Her real name is Miriam. And I'm not mad at her for creating a new identity for herself. If you like the name Safari, then heck, I like it too. If you like it, I love it. If you want to name yourself Webster's Dictionary, go ahead and do that too. I don't care. Whatever you feel like you want your identity to be. Side note, have y'all seen Real World New Orleans Reunion? When I tell you, y'all, if you have, just give me a nod in the chat. But y'all know David called himself Tokyo now. I was like, Tokyo, where in the world did that come from? And so I said, and it's again one of those types of things. Maybe that's his stage name. I get it. I totally get it. I am not the one to be complaining about that. Okay. I totally understand it. But I said, Tokyo, where did that come from? If you ain't seen the Real World on Paramount Plus, the reunion for New Orleans, baby, that thing is good. Okay. That's just a little sidebar for you. Anyway, we learned that Drika and June met on Tinder. They got engaged a month after meeting each other. And apparently now Safari claims that Patrick was in her DMs. Patrick claims Safari was in her DMs. So y'all telling me Kandi got some other types of receipts about how Safari was trying to date this man. So I don't know what to believe. But what I do know is that apparently Safari thought Patrick was a trick and she thought he can give me a massage or whatever. So Kandi and Todd are asking themselves, who raised you? Like, why are you calling this man a trick? Thank you, Leandra, for the super chat who says, I call Safari Jumanji. Safari says, well, what is a trick to you? Safari says, somebody you have sex with and they gonna give you money. Chandrika in her confessional is like, girl, that's a prostitute. So wouldn't you technically be the trick if you was receiving the money? Who's tricking who? Okay. Who is tricking who? All right. I listen. I don't care. And listen, I'm not even a judge of how other people make their money. Okay, as long as you're making it. Okay, work ain't honest, but it pays the bills. Okay, however you choose to make your money, make your money. If you tricking, if you pimping, I don't care. I really don't. I don't care. It ain't none of my business. But the fact of the matter is, you basically are trying to say that you think that this man is a player. Okay, let's put it like that, because you can't have thought that he was tricking and that he was going to be giving you money. How does that make sense? Or you think that he's tricking and you supposed to pay him? Because were you willing to pay? I don't understand what her logic was when she was saying that. She would have been better off saying, I thought he was a player based on his social media. And so that made me skeptical of wanting to date him. I think that's what she was trying to convey. But what she said, it really didn't come out right. And it did not sit well with Kandi nor Todd. Okay. Nezzy Porter says, "Oh Lord, Richie, not Webster Dictionary." Yes, call yourself whatever you like. To me, I'm the type of person. I'm gonna tell y'all the type of person I am. I don't care what you do. I no longer care what anybody does. I don't. This is the best and most peaceful way to live your life, is to not care what anybody does. As long as you are happy, if you like it, I love it. Okay? If you don't like it, I don't love it. And I tell y'all that all the time. That's the most peaceful way to live your life. You cannot care what other people do. You cannot have that much invested in what other people do. So if you want to call yourself Webster's Dictionary, I don't care. Do it. If you want a trick, do it. I don't care. It does not matter to me. All right. However, listen, the rent is always due. Okay. Shanada West, thank you so much for the super chat. Absolutely. Why would you tell his family that you thought he was a trick? Like, that makes no sense to me. Next, again, as she said, I thought he was a little bit of a player, so I really wouldn't, that bothered me a little bit. But now I got to ask a different question based on these receipts that y'all saying that Kandi got about how she was trying to get at him herself. So I'm like, what's the real tea, girl? What's really good? Gotta go watch that speak on it, okay? So anyway, Philip and Don roll up on Brandon basically to talk about what's going to happen with the Dom and Brandon scenario, because Dom and Brandon are dating and they don't really feel like that's good for the restaurant. Brandon don't really feel like it's a problem, but he does realize that it puts himself in not the best light as a manager. Don said when we were at the housewarming party, that's when he noticed that this was a real thing between Brandon and Dom Unique. So all of a sudden, Dom Unique walks up. Don asks if they have a relationship, if she has a relationship with anybody, and she says yes. Her and Brandon are in a relationship, and Don Juan wants to know who's going to leave the building, okay? Because one of them has to say. And Dom does not say this in the scene. She says it in her confessional. She says, I feel like Brandon should leave because I was here first. The funny thing about that is Brandon, behind her back, initially told them that he thought that she should leave. They both throwing each other under the bus. How y'all dating? What kind of mess is that? Anyway, the scene switches and we do not find out who is leaving. I was so annoyed by that. I was like, now wait, who got to go? Don Juan, you called this meeting and said somebody got to go. Who is leaving? Is this a to be continued moment? Because I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I missed that. And I was like, editors, what just happened here? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and switch scenes. Okay, fine. Todd is now going to get a haircut. All right. We learned that he had a prostate check, which is something I'm really glad to hear men talking about, especially Black men, on a show like this, because it is a reminder of and for, particularly Black men to go and have regular checkups and to get them checks. These types of reminders are just really, really good to see on television because a lot of people will feel, um, like, oh, a prostate exam is not something that a man should be talking about, but it's exactly what they should be talking about. Latoya says Dom says she said it. Dom left. She said it in her IG live. Okay. In my mind, that was the thing to do anyway, because to be quite honest with you, she about to go on tour. So, I mean, that's the option that makes the most sense. Okay. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, Patrick also arrives. I don't know if he's getting a haircut or not, but he want to talk to Todd. He asked how he knew Todd, how Todd knew that he was the one, and Patrick, and Todd talks about his experience, dating Kandi. Patrick is thinking about asking Safari to marry him, and Todd is like, "Why do you think she's the one?" Okay, and Todd lets him know that he didn't really like the fact that Safari, had called him a trick. And Patrick talks and starts talking about their souls coming together and being mirror images in parallel universes and seeing stars and melting into the sky together and their souls just being intertwined and on another earthly plane. He just sees himself in the divine spirituality of her love and affection on the beanbag chair in his meditation station. Okay. And Todd is like, I don't know what he's talking about. But what he really wants to know is, I know that you feel like this, but does Safari feel the same about you? Okay. So meanwhile, Safari is meeting up with Kandi because Kandi got to check up on it. We find out Safari, I don't know where they are. And I couldn't tell if this was shade or not. I don't know if they was at Blaze. I don't know if they was at one of the OLG restaurants. I don't know how many. If Kandi probably got 15 restaurants down there, and I don't even know about them. But they was at some restaurant, and Safari was like, "No, girl, I ate earlier because I knew there wasn't gonna be no vegan options up in here." And I was like, you know what? Anyway, Kandi wanted to have a ponderosa to make sure that Safari has Patrick's best interest at heart. Kandi wants to know what she meant when she said she thought that Patrick was a trick. And Safari then says, well, his Instagram, he came across like a player, which is basically what she should have said the other night. Kandi is like, well, if you thought he was such a player, then why did you want to talk to him then? Boom. That's a real good question. And Safari is like, well, she wasn't going to be serious with him at first. Let me tell you what it sounds like based on what they are telling us in these scenes. It sounds like to me like Patrick might have been, the way they're playing it is, and I don't know if and I haven't seen the speak on it, but on the show, the way they're playing it is Safari Patrick DM'd Safari. Patrick had an Instagram where he was, showing off body and stuff like that. And if you're working out, why not show it off? Okay. If you got it, flaunt it. And so he was, I guess maybe out in the streets, wilding out, doing whatever he doing his single man thing. And Safari looked at him and said, oh, well, you ain't dating material, but you some kind of material I can get up into. Okay. And so that's what it sounded like to me. So you might have been looking at him like he was a trick or a player, but it sounded like you saw enough of him to recognize that you might have wanted to get the goods, okay, and just let it be that. Just say that, okay? Because that's some honest stuff right there. Everybody can relate to that. People, I mean, it is, and it is what it is. Y'all can relate to it. You know you can. You know you can. You know it's somebody out there in your past that you knew ain't no way I'd be in a relationship with you. But we can kick it for a second, and on some Netflix and chill. Y'all know that. Be real, be real, be real. Okay. Anyway, Kandi lets her know that Patrick is all in for her, but she comes across as very nonchalant about him. And Safari tells her he's the one, but she just didn't realize that at first. And she feels respected by him, and she loves how much he loves his family. And they both start to get teary eyed and misty eyed and things like that. And Kandi feels much better after this Ponderosa with Safari. Do y'all like Safari? I can't tell. She's a beautiful girl. Let me just say that. She's beautiful. I do not mind that she wants to set some boundaries. I see a lot of y'all like, no. y'all are like, no, 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 nope, nope. I feel as though Patrick is a light. Okay. Patrick is a light. And I feel like he's a ball of energy. He's a ball of fun. He's corny, but in the way that you want people around you to be. He doesn't take himself too seriously, but apparently he has a lot going for himself. He's talked about going to college. He loves his family. And in my mind, I just don't know that it feels like she's restricts him in a way to me. So for that, I don't necessarily think that I like her for him. But that's just me. Okay? That's just me. And if he's chosen her to marry or whatever the facts may be, I just hope he is comfortable with her setting boundaries for him in his own personal life. Because at a certain point, that could become a very big problem. It may be cute now, but I'm telling you, based on my own experience, when you see someone trying to or making it feel like they want to isolate you from a group of people that are in your life, you are the person that comes to the conclusion that you want to disengage or separate yourself from your friendships. But your spouse or your significant other should not be the one setting your boundaries for you. Okay? That's just my thought. And that's how I feel about it. Over to Brian's place. Brian has a new blonde wig. Shardo and Torrin are there as well. Chandrika and Dom arrive next, and I guess they just having like a good old friends Ponderosa that's not about to last long and does not seem friendly at all. Okay. Drika recaps the date with Safari and Patrick and Kandi and Todd. Okay. Andre says, plus Patrick is a real estate agent, according to Kandi. Speak on it. That's what I'm talking about, baby. The man got things going on. Okay. And I like a hustler. I'm a fan of a good old hustler. All right. Get it how you live it. Chandrika basically tells Torrin that Patrick blamed him for the whole housewarming invite debacle, which is technically true based on what you guys are telling me that or reminding me that Torrin knew. So Chandrika says, but I'm trying to figure out why it's a housewoman with no house, basically kind of like shading Patrick and Melvin's place. Well, Shardo says, it was the most boring thing I've ever been to in my life. And we get this flashback of everybody just kind of standing around. And then Shardo apologizes to Chandrika for not coming outside to comfort her. But he says, I did tell Dom that I thought she should go outside. And Dom is like, when did you say that? Producers roll back the tape. They roll it back. We hit a rewind button. And we see Shardo basically say that to Dom. And in the episode, Dom in her confessional said Shardo needs to mind his business. Okay. Qatia says he also tutors people to help them get their license. That's what I'm talking about. I'm definitely gonna check on her. Yes, we got to watch that, speak on it later. Okay. Now, to me, Shardo is really right about the situation. I like that he apologized to Chandrika and didn't just throw it all on Dom. But Dom, to me, gets real defensive about his opinion being so invalid and about because she don't want him to have an opinion about her friendship with Chandrika. Meanwhile, Drika is, I can't tell, but sitting there looking kind of pleased with this situation. And I'm wondering why we haven't seen a sit down with just Chandrika and Dom Unique about, hey girl, why didn't you have my back in that situation like I thought you was gonna have my back? Why is Drika afraid to have that conversation? Or why are we not seeing it on camera? And why is everybody else fighting this battle for Chandrika? To be honest with you, if Chandrika don't really seem to be that pressed about it, I'm not going to be pressed about it either. Do I think that Dom was wrong? Absolutely. But Chandrika's the one that needs to take this up with her, not June, not Shardo, not Brian, not Torrin, nobody else but Chandrika. And I don't know why she's not handling her business, but whatever. It goes left real quick with Dom basically cursing Shardo out. Okay. Shardo ends up walking off, and Dom tells Brian to go get his little pet. Brian does nothing but laugh, but in his confessional, he admits that he feels like Dom is wrong. And then Dom warns Brian to never ever put her back in a room with Shardo ever again. I'm like, well, you gonna have to work with him. But anyway, Brian tells her, girl, I'm not jumping in it. I don't jump in between mess between friends. So the next thing you know, Torrin and Chandrika get into it. They get into it about the whole invite situation. Dom leaves, Chandrika leaves, and then that's the end of that. So we don't know what's gonna happen the next time they all run into each other. We get to Mama Joyce's house, and they discussing their online dating. And we discover that Patrick has invited everybody over for a Ponderosa. He wants to run a big decision by them. And Aunt Bertha straight up asks, you fitting to get married? And Patrick likes to butter these women up with hot butter and grease and whipped cream and just tell them how much they his fantastic for and he loves them. And he really wants their opinion on the ring that he is going to give to Safari. Candy's like, is that the ring you gave to the last girl? Oh God. So apparently, the last girl that he was engaged to, at that time, he had abandonment issues. And when they got into an argument and she left the house, she might have went walking out the house, but he went walking back out into the streets. Okay. So apparently, now I don't know if he's dealt with those abandonment issues or not. Hopefully he has. Maybe that's addressed in the speak on it as well. But if those issues are not addressed and that girl walks out on him one good time, it's going to be a problem. Okay. It's going to be a problem. But it don't sound like she the type that'll walk out. It sounds like she the type that'll try to make sure that he ain't walking nowhere. Okay. Anyway, he says something weird to them, and I got what he said, but when he said it, I kind of took it as an insult. He says, "Well, you know, he admits that he wants to ask her daddy first about getting married. They all like that, and his mom says she likes Safari, but they all wonder at 27, is he ready?" And he says, "Well, none of y'all went to college and I did," and I was just like, why did you need to say that? I mean, I get where he was going. I went to college. I understand that maybe he was trying to say that, well, I went to college, I experienced all my wildness when I went to college, but he didn't even need to say that. The only thing he needed to say was, we were all young once, okay? We were all young, dumb, and full of okay, at one point in time. That's all he needed to say. I wasn't sure why he threw the college thing up in there, but that was just kind of like, okay, fine. They ain't seem to get too upset at him about it. But he basically is saying he got all the hoeing out of his system. But Bertha's like, 4 out of 4 say you a hoe, okay? So the streets are still talking about your hoe days, son. Okay, that's basically what she letting them know. And Aunt Bertha, she got a way with words, baby. She has the way with words and a mean old side eye. Okay. But they let him know that they are going to welcome him into her Safari into the family. I don't know about Safari just yet, But again, if Patrick likes it, I love it, baby. Because who am I? Who am I? Okay. I'm just over here providing feedback and commentary. That's it on what I see. But I see some red flags in her behaviors. And hopefully she can clarify and clear up those things. I would love to see a reunion for this show, because there's a lot of questions that I have about a lot of things that ain't been cleared up quite yet. But we still got 2 more episodes to go. So we're going to see how things shake out on some of those unresolved issues. All right. Now, with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this live. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your super chats. I appreciate you joining the community. I appreciate every little bit of input that you guys put into this channel to also make it what it is, and to make this community of, really, I just call us, fans of the shows who like to have a place to come and have conversations about the shows. And that's it. And I just want to say thank y'all. I love y'all. Make sure that you are enjoying the start of your week, okay? And I heard this phrase, and I want to leave it with y'all. I'm going to do a video about it on my other channel. But I heard a phrase on Saturday. I want to leave y'all with this. And it is now my new mantra for my mornings every day. Show me how good it can get, okay? Basically, you asking God in the universe, show me how good it can get. You ain't even asked, you don't have no expectation of what you want in your life, okay? All you asking is for, hey, show me how good it can get. And you know that something good is coming, okay? So I know that's a little high level message for y'all today, but it was something I wanted to share. Somebody needed it for today, so I had to go ahead and share that. Now, with that being said, I love y'all, and I will catch you guys in the next video.